Hi all, it's Tom the taxi driver, and in this video we're going to be talking about how long does it take to complete the knowledge. The Knowledge of London is really unlike any other examination process in the world, and one of the things that makes it so difficult, so renowned, is the system whereby you can fail and effectively come all the way back to the beginning. Think of it like a giant game of snakes and ladders. You can progress through, but as far as you can progress, you can get right to the very, very end. If your standard starts to slip, you will fall all the way back to the beginning and you have to retrace your steps to climb back to where you once was. So in this regard, it's not like a university degree or some sort of qualification where you pass year one. Once that year's done, that's in the history books, that's sorted. You move on to the next year, do that year and progress in that linear sort of fashion. You can really go up and down right until the very, very last stage. So nothing is guaranteed, and it ensures that you keep your appearance standard very, very high. So with this in mind, it can be really hard to understand how long it might take for you to get through the knowledge. Now, Transport for London say that on average it takes people between 2 and 4 years to get through the knowledge. However, I'd say the 2-year mark is quite ambitious for most people to get through the knowledge, and the 4-year mark, they say 2 to 4 years, but very often people can go into 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. Some people, I mean, it's very, very rare, but depending, as everyone's circumstances are entirely different on the knowledge, there's mentions of some people on knowledge forums that have taken up to 15 years to get through the knowledge. It's the old saying that you can't fail the knowledge, you can only give up, and that's a real true testament to it. So well done to that person. So let's break it down as to how long each stage can take. You can break it down yourself into the amount of time that you can control, and that's largely when it comes to running your runs, doing your blue books and going out pointing. That is the length of time on the knowledge that you can control. However, once you get to the appearances, yes, the harder you work, the more work you put into it, it's very likely you're going to get through the appearances quicker. But as you don't know how you're going to react in that room, your nerves, things like that, that can be the more improbable side of the knowledge. So let's try and break this down. I've jotted down some notes here. There's 320 runs to get through to complete your blue books, and that's kind of like the start of the knowledge. Before you can really progress onto anything, you have to get those runs done. So let's use the average of 3 runs a week, going out 3 times a week. That's 9 runs. Let's say 10. Let's get a bit more optimistic, because sometimes you do run a bit more on some of the later books. You can get through them a lot quicker because it utilises roads that you already know. So sometimes you can knock out 12 runs in a week. So doing that, an average of 10 runs a week, you're talking about 40 weeks. Give yourself a bit of contingency. You might have some weeks off. Your first week's going to be a bit shaky as you get into it. You might not go out 3 times a week. So 40 weeks to get through that. Now it depends. Have you been running it as knowledge point or Whizzan? Because of course, once you've done it Whizzan, it might take you 40 weeks to get through those runs, but then you have to then go back out and then start pointing. So as a result, Whizzan, if you go back out and start pointing, again, 3 times a week, 25 to 30 points a time. Let's use the more conservative estimate. You always want to be quite conservative with your estimates. Use the lower end because, of course, if you exceed your expectations, then generally you're going to get through it faster. So I always used to use like a worst case scenario. What if I'd done the lesser amount of work? And I'd often sort of shoot past my own personal goals there. So Whizzan, 25 points a time, 75 points a week. It's going to take you about 22 weeks to get to 2,000 points, or what's generally accepted as a good number for the map test. So in total, running your runs, doing your points, with Whizzan, rough guesstimate, you're looking at 66 weeks to the map test. So a year and 3 months. Could be a bit quicker if you do it by knowledge point. You could get to the map test within 44 to 48 weeks, because even once you've finished your runs, let's say it takes 40 weeks to do your runs, you've got to start doing point to point and gearing yourself up, transitioning into point to point style appearances, and that could take between 1 month and 2 months, depending when you're ready for it. Then you've got to get the map test done, and then it takes around 4 weeks or so to get onto the appearances process, and that's when the fun starts. That's when you don't know how long it's going to take. If you've done Knowledge Point, it's around about 44 to 48 weeks. You could get through the blue books and point into you ready for appearances. Wizan, it might be 1 year to 3 months. So let's just say worst case for both those scenarios, 1 year, 3 months. And I was probably about 1 year and 6 months. So that's something to go by. Once you're onto the appearances, let's be incredibly conservative. No, let's not be conservative. Let's say you got through every single appearance with a C. What is the best you can do it in? We'll just say C all the way through. 56s are every 2 months. So if you scored all the way through 56s unscathed, that will take you 8 months. Get on to 28s, unscathed through that will take you 4 months. 21s will take you 3 months. So the whole process within that is, of course, 1 year, 3 months. Add that to our 1 year, 3 months already. You've got through the knowledge in 2 years and 6 months. Now, this is assuming you've kept a really good schedule on blue books and you've got straight onto appearances, you've not failed the map test, and you've scored on every single appearance, not accruing a single D. Can be done. Some people have done it. But for the most part, we've got to be conservative with our estimates. Sometimes life gets in the way. Sometimes your knowledge schedule can't be as congruent and concise as you would like it to be. I was quite lucky because when I done my knowledge, it was just me. I was living at my parents', me and the map. That's all I did. I'd go to work, come home, go do that. There was nothing else to really distract me there. So you've got to really factor in some of your life circumstances, you know, having to balance life with the other half, having to balance life with your kids, family, all these other things, work commitments, friendships, social obligations, and things like that. If you've not already cut and severed those ties already. Let's say I get 2 Ds on every single stage of the knowledge. That's going to take you to nearly 2 years. If you get a couple of Ds on 56s, that will take you 12 months to get through. A couple of Ds on 28s, 6 months to get through. And 2 Ds on 21s, 4.5 months. So it's almost 2 years. Add that to your 1 year and 3 months beforehand, you're talking about 3 years, 3 months. Let's say you get redlined on your very first 56s. This is what can really add time to the knowledge, is the 56 stage, right? Because you've got 2 months between each appearance. So if you dilly-dally around on 56s, if you really screw up on 56s, that's what's going to add you time to the knowledge, because it's 2 months between each appearance. So let's say you go through 56s the first time and you get close and then you don't, and you're on 3-3. You go up, it's 3-3. If you score, you get down to 28. If you don't score, you're back to the beginning of 56s. Now, to get to that 3-3 situation is, of course, 6 appearances. That's 12 months you've been on that stage for, and this final appearance you're going to have on this stage could knock you back to the beginning. It could knock you on to the next stage. So if you do get a D here, you've just wasted 12 months of your life. Look at it that way. It's as brutal as that, because you go back to the beginning of 56s again. That stage that you've just done accounts for nothing. Your scores account for nothing. And worst of all, it's 12 months. You could have got through that stage and be a good way through 28s on that time. That's really when your knowledge starts to accelerate. Once you get onto 28s and 21s, boom, 56s feels like you can be there for a long time, You get a lot of time to wait for the next appearance, get ready for it and go. But when you're on 28s and 21s, you come back from an appearance, you sit down, you don't even have any time to breathe. You're already on the train and you're going up for the next one, it feels like. My key would be understand that the 56s can be a really holding back point. So look at that example again. You get to 3-3, you don't score, it's a D, you get sent back. In fact, that's 14 months because that's the 7th appearance on that stage. So 14 months in total, you get sent back to the beginning again. Then you get through it with a clean run, 8 months. Well, that's taking you 22 months just to get off of 56s. When really, if you do it right, with a couple of Ds, take it a year, a year through 56s. That's what can really add time to the knowledge there. And then after that, of course, once you get through 28s, 21s, the journey's still not over. So some people say, yeah, I got through the knowledge in such and such. But some people don't include getting to their badge day, which is arguably the more important bit. When you get that final handshake on the wreck, your final appearance, you still have to go out and do your suburb runs. So yes, in some regards, the knowledge is over because you don't have to do that excruciating books, runs, points, point to point. That's all done. You can put that aside. You've got the handshake. That's locked in. That's sealed. You know, you haven't got to worry about getting redlined or going back ever again. You've now got to go out and do, I think it's about 180 runs or so on the suburbs, and they are long runs. They take a while to do. Most people, the kind of accepted time frame is around 8 weeks. So 8 weeks from when you get the handshake to you getting your badge, basically. So it might take you 4 weeks to run the runs, and then you get through it. I did handshake the badge in 3 weeks. I was just done with the knowledge. I was so committed. I want to get out there and do it. So I run the runs in 2 weeks. I was out pretty much every night after work. I'd done 3,000 miles in my car doing all the suburb runs, feeling like you're going to fall off the face of the earth when you go down to like Biggin Hill Airport and Pratt's Bottom and all that. You know, you pretty much, you get all the way down south and you're touching the M25. You are so far away from London, and I'll have to go around the M25 and through the Dartford Tunnel to get home. It was bizarre. It was like unlike the knowledge I'd ever known. And yeah, so I got through that in 3 weeks. But again, you could use that to your benefit. There was nothing to hold me back. It was a little bit scary only phoning up after 1.5 weeks. And the administrator at Transport for London saying, have you run all these runs? And I've said, yeah, because I knew how many I was running, what my schedule was going to be like, that I could get them done and get them processed in that time. And when it came to calling them, I was on fire with those suburb runs. Definitely can't call any of them now. Really, really glad I did go and run them, because you do get the odd occasions where you come out of your usual sort of working area in London and you go out and you see the suburbs. But that's another thing to factor into your entire knowledge journey. I got through it from my very, very first run. I remember running it sometime after Christmas in 2014. So I think it was around about the 27th of December 2014. I went out in my car with these blue books I had. It was nice and quiet because it was just after Christmas on the roads. Congestion charging didn't matter because it was that period of time over Christmas where they relaxed the congestion charging zones anyway. So December 2014 I started, and I finished. I got my rec in November 2017, so some 3 years later, and then I got the badge, I think it's 14th of December in 2017, so just under 3 years, just got that in there. So what's really going to matter is effective scheduling, get through 56s unscathed. That's my biggest tip. That's the hard, in some regards, is the hardest stage on the knowledge, so don't ever let that slip. Do that, and this gives you some sort of insight as to how long your journey might take on the knowledge. Get a few Ds, get redlined. You can soon see how the time starts to compound on itself. I had friends it took 5 years to get through the knowledge. I knew one guy that had been on it for 7 years and he just gave up. You can't ever fail the knowledge. You can only give up. And that's the end of the video. Thank you once again for watching. Please do like this video, put some comments down below, even better subscribe and check out some of my other videos. I'll see you again soon. Take care.